Or maybe you do.
Well, if I think about it, anybody that is anybody in the industry was there. So
That's true.
Oh.
Oh,
Wow. Wow.
Hey, where are your glasses at,
Very
Rusty?
good. Oh, yeah. Don't worry about it, bro. I got you.
whatever.
Welcome to another episode of the Virtually Speaking Podcast. This is your host, Pete Fletcher, a.k.a. Pedro Arrow.
And I'm John Nicholson.
What is up? Welcome back to episode number 3 with you boys. It's SEV Ops crew in the house here. And this week, I think the only thing we can talk about is what we did at VMworld, which is what Tyler and I
didn't do at VMworld.
Yeah, and then
some of us weren't there.
One of the members got called out multiple times there.
Yeah.
Multiple times.
Which one of those members was that? Was it
Russ? Were you at the beach or what were you doing?
No, I was here, taking care of my business, ensuring that SHI stays afloat. So
VMware is your business.
I'm doing
unacceptable response.
I was actually
what the customers need.
I actually started to wonder about you inside SHI. I ran into several SHI SEs that were there. Just like, where's Russ? And they're like, who's Russ? And I was like, oh, dang.
It just got real personal real quick. Russ is the guy in the videos.
I got a couple of he's dead to me's out there.
He's dead to me. We'll see who they come asking questions about VMware whenever customers opportunities going on.
I was like, this SE doesn't know what's up, or Russ isn't the CTO of SHI that I thought he was.
Technically, it's Kevin Clements, but I'm coming for you, Kevin. And call me back, by the way. Return my call from 3 weeks ago. That'd be great.
All right, so let's get to it. VMworld was a madhouse. Just a general overview of my week. Lost my voice, which is fun. I'm trying to drink some. I guess I should have gone for the tea. I'm going for some coffee right now, but yeah, man. I think I did about 6 interviews, or not interviews, 6 customer meetings each day on average. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, which was good. It was down from what we did at Dell EMC World. Just your typical go and sit down with customers in the back of the solutions exchange area, which is really nice because it's just on the other side of the wall from the HCI zone, which is where everybody in the building was anyway. So made it really convenient. So outside of that, got to have a fun interview with Lee Caswell. That guy's amazing.
Yes.
Bundle of energy. I'm a huge fan of Lee's.
We should do like a Lee selfie where we're like, he's always got the same face from the same angle in all of the selfies.
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing.
He flipped the script on me too. We were talking, it was just going to be like a little 3-minute thing. And he's like, what do you want to do? And I was like, oh, you're the man. You just talk and I'll just add commentary, color commentary. He's like, all right, sounds good. So we start the interview and he just fires me a question. And I was like, oh, that's what's up. Okay. I answer it. He fires me another question. I'm like, okay, all right. We're interviewing me now.
That's right.
No, but it flowed really well. It was good. And then I got to go pretend that I knew what NSX was and go talk to them, do a little NSX interview, which is on the YouTube.
You did do like a week-long intense training on NSX, you and your team, I believe. So you should have some understanding.
Yeah, they did. I mean, I know enough. I'm joking. VSAN's my baby, but I just pretend to be.
Know NSX.
Yeah. So that was fun. Those were some of the highlights.
Those were your highlights, but what was your favorite announcement from the show?
My favorite announcement was the craps table whenever they told me I won $801.
What? You won $800 at the craps table?
Yeah, Tyler and
That's what he walked away with. He was actually up above that at one point.
Man.
Yeah, I got up to about 950. Yeah, sat down to show a couple of guys on my team that have never seen craps before. One lives in Dubai and one's in Australia. I guess they haven't gotten craps over there yet, but that's a joke. Let's laugh. I'm just kidding.
It's hilarious.
No, nobody knows how to play craps, but it's a really fun game. And so sat down. There's an electronic version of it with it's a digital screen, but you have physical dice. And it helps you read through all the rules. You know what you're doing, what kind of bets you're placing. And you can do it kind of in a little bit more safe environment. That's not as
it's not quite as intense as the first time that Chad asked us to join him.
Yeah.
Chad,
yeah,
I don't know if you
at
realize
the Aria.
but we had
got yelled
no
at a
idea
lot.
what we were doing when we joined you to play craps.
Yeah, well, and Chad throws down in the Aria with like he puts $5,000 on the table, right? And I started with $20 and then added another $20. Anyway, so it was a cool little thing, and then it just was.
For the record, it's at the Palazzo, not the Aria.
Yeah, well, if you're paying attention to Twitter, he was at the Aria.
Well, I'm saying during Dell Technologies World, the tradition is Palazzo.
Russ, you just got to try to keep up, man.
Yeah, that just wasn't the latest. I'm just telling you where he was.
Well,
fine. Anyway, started to win. Tyler was at the VMware or VMworld party, which I heard was meh. But he was coming back, and he's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And then I just sent him a screenshot of where I was at, and he's like, "All right."
Wait a minute, you didn't go to the VMworld party?
No, I was hanging out with
VMworld.
Yeah, I was hanging out with my team and some customers. It just, I didn't want to go try to fight some of the crowds,
and I'm the one who's being given crap over not being there.
I don't think I missed anything.
Just saying, it's the VMworld party.
I
go to
there. I went with some customers, and then everybody kind of peeled off. I came back and found you paying craps, but you left out the important part.
I'm about to get to it.
Briefly the night before, and it was kind of catastrophic. So we caucused and we came up with a plan.
That's right.
That's how we made a bunch of money.
And Tyler sat down, and it just started blowing up. It was awesome. Developed a plan. We stuck to it. That's the key, right?
No emotions, just statistics. It was fun.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. No emotions. But you can go read. There's a Reddit thread I saw this morning where people were hating on that VMworld party pretty hard.
I just pulled up VMworld on Reddit. It says VMworld party details. Looks more like a carnival than a concert this year. I like it.
Oh, okay. That was the only positive thing.
Just saying.
I thought the layout was a little odd, but I thought the party was good. And the band was awesome. Like, it was good. The problem with the band was the section of the venue that it was in, probably to that comments end, wasn't big enough to get the whole crowd in. I mean, they addressed that. They had a giant screen.
That's what I heard.
Reverse.
It was like a party set for 5,000 people, and 20 showed up.
Yeah,
that was why it was bad.
They had tons of space for all of the goings on, but the concert chunk of the hall was not big enough, I don't think. But I thought it was still good. I mean,
and the food was awesome, but you had to wait an hour to get it. It's kind of stuff like that. So anyway, I'm sure it was awesome. I'm not trying to hate on it. It was also a very tiring day, so none of my guys none of the team wanted to go over there. So
yeah, I was running on pure adrenaline.
Every time I turned around, Tyler was running.
I know what happens to Tyler in Vegas.
He was heading to customer meeting after customer meeting. It seemed like, but you did get to go drive a Maserati or something. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So we did a VSAN customer event out at the Motor Speedway just outside of Vegas there, and I forget the name of the racing joint. I should totally give them a plug because it was an awesome experience. But they have a slew of nice sports cars. They had Corvette and Maserati. They had some Porsches, Ferraris, Lamborghini, and I got the Maserati and got to take it around the track there. They've got I guess it's a competition track, right? Not the loop, not the NASCAR track, but actually
it wasn't TLR.
But it's like a road. It's like a road track.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it was actually really cool. They did like a quick safety briefing at the beginning. That talked about the car, what's different, and then they actually had
everything.
Yes.
What do you drive? A '94 Corolla. What's different? Everything.
Driving stuff, but it's like this will not be like your experience at home. Like anybody that does go-karting kind of knows this, but it was nice to hear from a professional exactly some of the break points, for instance.
Yeah.
Then you go to the track, and of course, it's like you get 1 minute of exposure to that, and it's like, so memorize that. Okay, good to go. This is going to be the opposite experience of driving at home, but we expect they actually take you into a room full of racing pods that have the actual track fully mapped, and then ultra realistic physics. And you're in a driving pod. I took a picture of it because it's pretty cool. I want one at home now. I'm totally going to need to build that.
That sounds pretty cool.
and you actually adjust your seat. You get it to where you'd be comfortable in the car. You get the paddle shifters, which is the only thing that was much of a change for me because I drive a standard. But a couple of the people we were with were like, "Oh God, what am I going to do changing gears?" By the way, paddle shifters, want that in my car. Kind of nice to not have the clutch, not gonna lie. But all of that fine, drop the speed, up the speed, or drop a gear, down, up a gear, down a gear.
Yeah.
Anyway, you get to learn the course a little bit, and you kind of figure out like this is what happens if you overbrake, underbrake, oversteer, understeer, and then you get to go out and do 4 laps on the track. And they went by like that.
Yeah.
Top speeds, just because the straightaways and stuff were probably only 110.
Did they give you some readouts?
They did, yeah. Well, we got to see them anyways. I think it's actually something you pay if you want to keep it.
Okay.
But,
did you see what your top speeds were?
Yes. I don't remember what my number was.
Well, the reason I ask is because I went and did this in North Carolina with this company out of Orlando that goes around all the tracks. And I drove the Ferrari 458 Italia. And it felt like I was flying on the back straightaway. Only got up to about 75.
What?
It was ridiculous. Yeah. Well, I think the track was a lot smaller.
Yeah, proximity of objects around you matters a lot.
It's very, yeah. I mean, it's very.
Well, and the car is so responsive. That's what did it for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I just thought, man, I probably hit about 120, and it was like, nah, you hit about 75.
Yeah, so I got up pretty close to 100, or probably a little over 100. I hit a peak of like 168 kilometers per hour.
Okay.
Which should be pretty close to 103. And by should,
cool.
I mean, somebody can do the math, but it's
a
little over.
No, I'm just curious. That's awesome, man.
And that's just because they had a really long straightaway, and in all my 4 laps, I'm sure I screwed up this turn on 3 out of them. But one, I had a really good corner on that 4th corner, and I came out like perfectly, and so I was able to get up that high. But it was so much fun.
Did you have a guy riding with you with a dial to turn it down if you?
No, he didn't. He did not have a dial. He just yelled at us if we did anything wrong. It's kind of like, I can't help you if you totally screw this up. So if I yell break.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Yeah. So that's a little bit different. I guess the ones we had, they had a little dial they could turn, from 0 to 10 or whatever to control how much. I hate it. So that guy, from a communication standpoint, we never talked about what he was going to say to me. We get in the car, and I'm so confused because he's using non-standard language to talk about giving it the gas. I would say go, or give it the gas, or go faster, and he would be like, now squeeze the throttle, and I'm like sitting here waiting. He's drawing out the word squeeze, and I'm like, what do you squeeze while you're driving? He's like, squeeze the throttle. You gotta stop saying that.
Stop it.
Anyway.
Stop. I'm not squeezing things. This is awkward.
But then I got home and I
don't know that they talked about the specific language they were going to use, but it was pretty obvious.
Yeah, for sure.
Gear,
he's like, go.
Stop. Brake hard, 20%, 30%. It was pretty obvious.
Nice. Awesome, man. I'm glad you got to go do that. Yeah, so that was pretty cool.
Did either of you attend the conference?
I got to attend one session. I got to attend one session, but I won't really talk about that one.
All right, fair enough. What about the general session?
Really get to attend
was there a vSAN 6.7 update 1 announced? Was there anything new there?
Might have been. There might have been.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, there definitely was. There's all
I feel like I was more interested in what was actually going on and announced at the conference than what you guys were, and you were there. Once again, quit giving me crap about not being at the
I didn't make
we're just talking about.
I was with customers constantly, and they were learning in sessions, not talking to me. Most of my stuff, actually not unlike Bewley's, was in the meeting rooms up in different areas, and we were talking to the BU about futures in a lot of cases, or specific application sets and stuff like that. So
are there futures we can talk about?
Yeah.
On video?
Yes.
There's features I can talk about because I'm not VMware.
There you go. Bewley can talk
He's embargoed.
We just brought that.
No, but you're right.
Earlier.
You're right, though. I wanted to sit in on. I was sitting in on the technical session, the general session on day 2. Heard them talk all about Workspace ONE. I thought it was going to be more about HCI updates. I guess that was the second part of it. But I had to leave and go sit with a customer right as Yan Bing was getting up there. So. But yeah, I would love to just maybe go as somebody else or something, so I can actually attend a conference once without having any responsibility.
Buy your own pass.
Well, yeah. I mean, I can tell you some of the things I saw that were awesome. One was vSphere Platinum.
Yeah.
And that is the integration of app defense, right?
Okay.
So basically baking security layers directly into the hypervisor. So VMware has this idea of looking at security as being done at the infrastructure layer and native in all things. So that's kind of being combined with NSX, which is now being able to be provisioned dynamically. So dynamic NSX combined with app defense at the hypervisor layer is just this supreme focus on security that I think is awesome. I think it has the potential to be very awesome. I also like the idea of a platinum edition of vSphere. That's been
must have
kind of interesting to me in a while. Must have platinum. So I can't wait to ask a customer, like, what level are you on vSphere? Are you gold or are you platinum, homie? Like, what's going on here? So I thought that was pretty cool. I don't know if that was something customers were talking a lot about.
Yeah.
What'd you say, Tyler?
I had a lot of customers bring it up. A lot of my customers were talking about.
Now, do you have customers running app defense like proper today? Because I don't have a lot that are running app defense today. They own it in their ELAs, but I don't see people running it. But I think this might spur that a bit, assuming they go platinum. Of course, we don't know what that pricing and anything looks like, but that's
very good.
I don't know. I thought that was a cool announcement.
Yeah, I got a couple customers running it, but I don't see it broadly adopted. You're probably right, because it's good stuff. The ones that have it love it.
Yeah, you know what we need Tim on here to good Tim, right? To go over what NSX. I know he's not NSX guy anymore, but to me, he's always the face of NSX.
That's what my laptop says.
We need to know more about the dynamic NSX nature. I think we should probably maybe do that next week or the week after. Get someone on to come talk about it, because that'd be very valuable. But also, vSAN 6.7 update 1 was all the rage on day one. There were like 30 different announcements around all of the different aspects that were coming there. So I don't know, Tyler, do you know off the top of your head what was really announced from that perspective?
Trim Unmap is one of my favorites out of that bundle there.
That that's John Nicholson's baby too.
I was going to say John was over that one on Twitter.
Okay.
Yep. That one was really big. That's it's been in work for a long time. It's one of those features that we were dead set on getting right. So it needed to be performant, needed to be easy, needed to work. And so it slid a couple of releases internally. It was something I was excited about for like the last 3 releases of vSAN, right? So that one was a huge win for sure. I got to look at it.
There's some things like, maybe people don't think about firmware updates through VMware Update Manager. I see Cluster Quick Start Wizard, etc. that were kind of being built into it. But, a lot of it was on the technical side of things, like enhancements to vSAN stretch clusters. And, big pieces there. I think monitoring was expanded greatly, which is huge. I think that's really, really big.
So support insight is actually pretty awesome. We used to call that Project Humbug. We still kind of do internally, but it's that is probably one of the best monitoring tools that we've had for vSAN for a while. If you guys are familiar with vSAN Observer and all of the data that it is pulling out of the stack, Humbug collects all of that as a phone home service now. And as long as you're turned on CEIP, then it's going to kick all that back. And it's proactive support in the sense that we're actually monitoring those clusters. It's disaggregated, it's obfuscated unless you don't want it to be. But GSS, for instance, can go in and they can look at the history of performance data, and they can see basically everything that's going on technically in the cluster, which shortcuts like log bundle uploads. That one's a big one for me. I think.
It just helps your support experience.
Absolutely. But
you should never have to use it, but if you do, you want a good experience.
As a technology company, like that's one of those things I just feel like is absolutely necessary. So I'm really glad that it's there now. Obviously you focus on the core product first, but something like that, a cloud-based analytics platform, is just baller.
Yeah. I also liked the addition of the capacity reporting thing, right? So you could do some trending, some storage trending, which is really cool. I've had a lot.
That's a problem in all my customers with any platform is not having trending historical data to be able to do capacity planning.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's all based on vRealize operation stuff, right? So it's a common tool. Obviously, that's a slant that we have. The HTML5 interface is like 99% feature parity for vSAN.
Right. Yeah.
Quickly taken over the rest of the software stack as well.
Hey, unpopular opinion. I'm happy about HTML5 interface. I want the fat client gone. So saying it.
You know what? Though,
I'm on board.
You say it's an unpopular opinion.
How's that unpopular?
I have customers will say the first thing they'll say to me is like, "Hey, can I do this in the fat client?" Like they want to be able to do it in the fat. Customers love that client. I don't know why. I had problems with it all the time. I've been using the web client well before the web client was cool.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm seeing that trend change a little bit though, because the customers that I have that share that sentiment, and I agree, like for the last year and a half, people are like, nope, don't want it. Give me the fat client, right? I'm starting to see that change now that all of the features in the products that they use are embedded and easy to get to in HTML5, right? They're finally starting to say, oh, all right, it really is all there. And if it's not there, I can use the Power CLI to kind of get it done. And that's because we're getting better about publishing all of the API endpoints, right? Like most of this stuff can be done as a function, which is in everyone's best interest anyways.
I mean, I think you guys know my opinion on interfaces and their value. I'm a big fan of them, and I think this is a step in the right direction.
Perfect. Can I ask a probing question to move on to something else?
Maybe.
But what are y'all's thoughts on the power or the potential of the hybrid multi-cloud between VMware on-prem and VMC on AWS versus
I think it's huge.
The other options that are out there right now?
I have a lot of things I want to talk about from that. So one of which is another announcement, and I think I saw it. I don't know if it was vSphere or vSAN, but there was a beta of some kind announced that had features that were
Project
huge.
Dimension, maybe?
No, yeah. So there was a vSAN beta for AWS that was announced that allowed it to use Elastic Cloud storage in AWS rather than forcing it to only use the storage inside that vSAN cluster.
So this is big, right? Because I have a lot of customers that I work with on VMC on AWS, and one of the biggest limitations is people will come to me and they're like, I have a singular database larger than 10 terabytes, which is the existing limit on a singular node inside of VMC, and that's immediately a non sequitur. Like, done. Can't put this on there. So being able to extend workloads through EBS, I think, is very, very valuable, which makes it more consumable. And then on top of that, when you're combining that with things like the SRM updates that I saw that were kind of being thrown onto the extensions between on-premises and VMware Cloud and AWS are big already, with like Hybrid Cloud Extender, which is just a phenomenal tool already as it is.
Awesome.
I don't know if it's getting updates or not. I know that there's already ways. It's a primary migration tool that I would use to get on VMC on AWS. Yeah. Just doing that as your starting point and then moving into full NSX with a stretched layer 2 and being able to use workloads in between there is hugely valuable, especially for customers who come to me and say, Russ, I have to be off premises, or at least off premises for this workload in 12 months.
Russ, it's off premise. What are you saying?
You are off of SEV Ops. You are
fired.
There was I think there was one of the sessions or the keynote or something like that. Somebody was tweeting premise count up to 18. And it's like,
you know what kills me when I see people write it in like blog posts, like they're spelling out permanently premise.
Yeah.
Which means you can't even claim that you had an apostrophe in your speech.
Yeah.
Premise is not a place.
Premise apostrophe. Still appropriate.
Use it so much that when you actually mean to use premise, you accidentally say premises.
Yeah, it needs to go the other direction.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, absolutely. But
although I've seen people argue about like quit complaining about this because we obviously know what you mean. I'm like,
well, that's semantics at that point. That feels like an argument we would get in with Tyler. Like Tyler would go on some rant about something really specific and technical, and then we'd be like, "Shut up, Tyler! Like we know what each other mean, and it's."
I have this problem with the way people spell dedupe when they write it out on whiteboards.
What do they
feel free to elaborate on that.
They throw an E at the end quite often. But the term is deduplication.
Yeah, there's no E in there.
Is a P with an apostrophe. Period.
Why do you have to have an apostrophe?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep using.
Because you're dropping it. You're dropping the end of the term. That's what we use apostrophe for. So we drop letters and we fill them in with that gap.
No.
Unless it's a thought, then you fill it in with an ellipsis. But that's usually words.
Okay, so Project Magna replacing the SDDC with the self-driving data center. What was that? A tech preview?
He just moved on. He's like, I'm not even gonna
It's what you do
remotely entertain Tyler.
What you do with toddlers, you just like distract and redirect,
I do
distract. And
appreciate
This coming from the guy who's
Tips, keep those
yanking on premise.
That's true.
Okay, what were you talking about? Say your words again, Bewley. I'm pointing at you, Bewley, on my side.
Yeah. I
This is
pulled up
Bewley.
somebody
This is
who kind of summed up all the announcements they saw. This was actually pretty cool. Before I get to that piece, VMware dropped all of their announcements on day one.
They did.
There was none of this. Yeah, very cool.
Wait, so you liked that? Because I kind of felt like the other days when
do.
I was checking things, I was like, "Where's the things?"
I liked it because it helped people like me who you get there and all you do is customer meetings the whole time, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like if you have a customer meeting on day one, you don't want to be like, well, wait for the announcement on day two,
Right.
or on day three, we're going to talk about that. Just like drop it all now. Let me talk about it all now. Get it out of the way. So,
do you think that customers preferred that, like the ones that were there to just
I
like
think so.
just kind of attend the event as a whole?
Think about it. Like if I'm an EUC person in a data center and I have to wait till day 2 or 3 to get the EUC announcements, I don't know.
I mean, what happened in the rest of the general sessions, though? I don't know if you guys were even at them.
Yeah, so the general session on day 2, I mean, typically you have like the general, like the high level, here's how we're operating, here's how we what to see in the industry, here's what's happening, trends, et cetera, on day 1. Day 2 gets into more technical demos, deeper dive into some of those topics. It's not like they announced anything extra. They just showed and talked more about
things.
Yeah,
we talked about this yesterday, and here's kind of what we're talking about.
Exactly. Yeah. So we mentioned these things yesterday. Here's what it looks like. So I liked it, but again, that's just me.
I like it. I like it because I think you kind of touched on it, right? You get to have all the conversations with customers. You don't have to wait. It's not like dramatic irony where I know what's going on and they don't. It's, hey, you heard about that? I've been wanting to talk to you about that for a while. You want to, set up a lunch and actually have a conversation about it. And you do a lot more of that early. Plus, you can kind of stitch everything together at the conference too. I like dropping it all early.
All right, I'll change my tune a little bit. I don't like it first. I like it a little bit more now. I can't really talk to it because I didn't experience it. I just kind of on the outside looking in.
Yeah, multiple people came up though, and they were like, "Oh, SEV Ops is in the house," and we're like, "Yeah, 66% of us."
Oh,
man. Like, oh, Russ.
I mean, even one of my customers was there talking to my boss who was present, was like, wait a minute, Russ, like the guy from SEV Ops? Oh, wait, he's not here.
Dude, next year when you go, because you're going to go next year, you're going to skip out on some of those. Like, I know you do like 12 conferences a year. You just need to skip out on one of those lame ones that's not really relevant anymore.
Do you have any suggestions as to which?
Yeah, don't go to .next. How about that? Don't go to that one.
I mean, if you're gonna pick one, I gotta.
Just if I'm gonna pick one, just specifically.
Just that one.
Okay, just that one. So replace just that one. Okay.
Yeah, with a real, cloud stack stuff.
Got it. Very good. Single day announcement.
Well, when we do IDEA, if I'm not gonna wear them the whole time, but when we are together, glasses.
I like it. I'm in. Got me in.
Good. I'm in because I'll be there next year. Jared Janes and Chris Palatucci will see this video and know that errors must be corrected.
We'll have to get James
next year
too, because I never know. It's always last minute to find out.
It's kind of what I was thinking.
I'll fly y'all out.
Get off your high horse, Tyler, because you were confirmed 3 days before the event went on.
Talk to my boss. You guys can send him a happy mail. He's on Twitter.
We'll make it happen. We'll make it happen. We'll make it happen. And I'll get another 3,000.
I heard a lot about containers too. Not like mostly that was Chad.
So let's get to that. I'm curious. I want to read this real quick. I did not hear about this. And then there's also Project Dimension mentioned, which you've talked about a couple of times, Tyler.
Yeah.
Somebody wrote, this was a blog post, looks like Torsten Volk. That is a sweet name. That's awesome.
Volk is strong.
I imagine this dude lives in a castle somewhere.
My name is Mr. Volk.
That is so cool. All right, Project Magna replacing the SDDC with the self-driving data center. I see what he did there. Instead of software-defined data center, self-driving data center. Biggest strong point of VMware's Project Magna is the concept of leveraging operational data from all layers of the stack in combination with machine learning to continuously optimize VMware environments. So it's an AI, ML adjustment, right? Let's see here. The acquisition of Cloud Health Technologies.
Too.
Huh?
I see the word blockchain as well.
Yeah, and Wavefront. Will not share details of exactly which products are using Magna, nor is there a dashboard showing what it does or when there will be a Wavefront dashboard available. Anyway, okay.
I got the high level. It says brings AI to virtual infrastructure.
Yeah, there you go. That's what
idea.
it is. So that's exciting.
Which, who knows what that means?
Yeah,
other than
tech preview.
blockchain, our hits.
I got to learn a lot more about that.
Put blockchain on the description whenever you.
That's right.
Whenever you post.
Throw it in there.
Tyler, did you see the? I don't know if it was several people or just Ken Nalbone that was wearing the blockchain.
No, that was hilarious. I was right there when he showed it. I think you asked him. I was like, "What is that?" And he said, "It's a blockchain," and it was a little baby cinder block on the chain around his neck.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. I've got a little kind of good tidbit here. VMware showed how Project Magna can learn and understand application behavior and then use that knowledge to model, test, and reconfigure a network, choosing a more optimal network frame size for greater performance. So,
that's sweet.
That's how it becomes somewhat
on its own
self-driving, right? That's the indicator, right? That's not explicit, but that's the idea. Is what I'm hearing. Is
awesome.
This use of machine learning and AI, which will automatically transform how you automate these data centers. This goal is true automation of your infrastructure, meaning that today, we set repeatable processes as automated until the process that we defined as humans ends. What they're stating is they can sort of dynamically see, okay, this process will automatically flow into a better, more functional way of this other process, and we will sort of make that adjustment on the fly. That's the way I'm reading it, is moving from just repeatable processes up to a point to kind of all the things. Nice.
I'm trying to get my hand out of it. I'm listening to you.
No, you're good. Like that's kind of what I was talking about. And apparently blockchain, by the way, was different. It's Project Concord for VMware's blockchain.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So.
Oh, there you go. Russ, do you have one?
What? What happened?
Tyler was just doing the same thing.
I do have one, but it's in my kitchen. Because I keep my.
I'm just kidding.
I keep my stickers in the kitchen.
Oh, there you go.
Wait a minute. Hold on. I got you.
Hold on.
I got you. Wait.
Don't you? I knew you were gonna do it. Don't you do it? You bastard.
All right. What I had at my disposal.
Very cool. Let's keep it moving. Hit on Project Dimension real quick.
So Project Dimension is freaking cool. It actually had a cooler name last week, but it turns out that was already trademarked. Sad story.
Which was what?
Final name, but the short.
What was it before they changed it?
Can you say
Fractal.
Oh, okay.
I love fractals. Mathematically, they're really freaking cool. So I was excited about that project name, and we don't get to keep it. That's
because you's a nerd.
I am a nerd.
What is it?
I mean, think, finite volume, infinite surface area. You could have the best sponge in the world. That's a fractal.
Alliteration for the win. All right, go ahead. Project Dimension.
VMware.
Multi-dimension. Yes. What?
What's it for VMware?
Tyler's like, or Russ's. Come on, guys. Come on.
So basically, it's think of it as like VM Cloud on AWS at the edge, but more specifically, it is the SDDC, the Software Defined Data Center as a service, including hardware as a service at an edge site. But like, wrap your head around that for a second. All of it. It's the hardware and the whole software stack as a service that operates like a cloud on premises, but that you don't have to deal with.
Yeah. And so VMware does the upgrades and all that kind of stuff.
And the customer does not own any of the assets. They basically just consume the infrastructure. I'm actually seeing this from a bunch of vendors across the stack, mostly because of the accounting standards that are going into effect for 2019.
OpEx
changing the OpEx requirements, right? And this will now allow customers that prefer OpEx to continue recognizing this as OpEx on the books, right?
Exactly.
So that's huge.
What's the hardware option for Project Dimension?
So it's not completely locked in, but the predominant majority of them are either going to be VxRail or Ready Notes. And
so that's interesting.
VxRail. You know anything about that, Bewley?
Yeah.
The VxRail stuff?
Yeah.
But it's nice. I mean, they're one of the cool things about it.
No, it's really cool. It's a game changer. Nobody's doing that.
Yeah. Well, and to some extent, and it'll be good when
no one's doing that for VMware.
Competition, right? Like it's always good to have competition, but we own if we can provide hardware as a service with the entire stack on top of it. the networking, the storage, the compute and memory, all of the stuff we already get. But if you can offer a scratch space that is on premises and therefore resilient and highly performant, so it has data gravity as opposed to a traditional public cloud, then you have an incredibly compelling OpEx based model for the entire data stack. But we can offer that to an extraordinary degree because of our entire software. Our ecosystem is thorough.
I think in conjunction with RDS
else
on premises with that offering is all very valuable. Y'all saw that, right? You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
so Amazon,
I actually heard people in the halls talking about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big deal. I mean, bringing RDS, the relational database service from Amazon, out of Amazon into the on-premises world.
It's crazy. I mean, they're doing, this between the, they're just mixing it all up.
What's amazing is I saw a lot of communication like this, is a lot of people thought that VMware was attaching to AWS as a desperation play. And I think that was last year. And this year, I think people are realizing, one, VMC on AWS is crazy successful. Two, people are saying that, wait a minute, did Amazon just recommit the other direction? It's showing that there's true value in not just the partnership, but both on-premises and inside of public clouds.
Yeah.
I think it's huge for both companies. I think it is actually a really impressive partnership, and strictly speculation on my part, but I don't think long-term VMware's cloud relationships will be, I won't say unilateral because they aren't already, like IBM Cloud already has the ability for us to use
software
and actually get over there too, right? So it's not already single-threaded, but I expect that the VMware on public cloud of choice is going to become more and more of a reality. Of course, that's a super convoluted, politically entrenched space, but we're proving technically that it is both capable and something that customers really want. And the execution it's there. So I think it's just awesome. Hybrid cloud has been sort of the dream that a lot of corporations have had for a long time because it addresses very specific issues in very compelling ways. It is now very much a reality, and not having to refactor applications, not having to worry about how it works here versus there, those solve very big problems. So
I think VMC has created true hybrid cloud, and the next step is going to be multi-cloud. And that's where you start seeing VMware's already stepping into that with acquisitions like Cloud Health, which, just for the record, that is like, Cloud Health is a big tool that SHI uses in our cloud practice. That is our primary tool. So that was awesome. A huge announcement from VMware, is making that purchase. So I can personally attest to the value of that acquisition and that tool it has on multi-cloud management, visibility, etc. It's showing kind of where they're going.
Well, and you know what else I love about it is VMware as a stack will not succeed running on clouds if we don't turn it into a self-driving data center. It cannot be a heavily manual software stack. It won't survive.
Ruthlessly automate everything.
That sentence could have gone a couple different ways.
I got you, Pat.
Standardization, right? So this will force us to get better in every possible way.
Yep. All right. What about a couple more, and then we should probably shut this down. I don't know if people want to listen to us blab for an hour and a half, but there's a lot of announcents, man.
There are. It was
break it up into sessions. Right?
So there's three more that Mr. Volk wrote about here, which very helpful. So NVIDIA and VMware, the concept of time sharing expensive GPUs between VDI use, integrating deep learning models. That seems pretty sweet. Let's see, ESXi on 64-bit ARM processors. I heard a lot of buzz around that as well.
I did see that.
Just walking by, tons of conversations around it.
I have more questions than answers about that right now, but witness anybody?
Dude. I'm thinking like all of these super mega ultra computers that are out there in the world that are trying to build on non-x86. What are they building with?
Yeah, but think too about the IoT, right? All this edge compute that's using ARM procs that want to use vSphere or want to have a VM, right? They need a VM. This enables it from a vSphere perspective. It's
like a Raspberry Pi cluster at the edge.
I take that a step further. VMware stepped into containers a lot here as well. Like I saw, Tyler, you can probably verify this because I think it was vSAN related, but there was like a persistent storage for vSAN for containers. And that's big because like stateful holding of storage is a problem for containers, which are inherently stateless. So that alone there, combined with eventual supporting on ARM, makes people be able to really, really well refine where they can run, different pieces of applications required for IoT or whatever else. It opens the door to a lot more possibilities.
This one is so big. I think it could challenge for the #1 spot as far as the top announcement at VMworld. I think it's that much of a game changer for what's going to happen for IoT edge compute.
Sure. Question: Have
I want my refrigerator. I want my refrigerator able to be running a little vSAN cluster.
Have either of you ever had a customer ask about it? Support for ARM?
Yes.
You have?
I don't think I have.
I have. And I mean, I'm not going to lie. A lot of it was for vSAN 2-node witnesses, right? Where you're talking about needing just bare minimum scratch to maintain metadata. And nobody wants a full-blown ESXi server if they can avoid it, right? So, and we can do it on physical too, but there's still some guardrails that are put around what's supported. And I think this opens up a lot of windows or doors, if you will, to being able to do some really interesting things. And I think as IoT becomes more really coherent for my customers, and as their container strategy starts to kind of coalesce, then all of these things are going to be terribly relevant to them. And if we want to stay relevant to what the business is doing, I think we have to move in those directions.
Yeah.
You're not going to have IoT devices that are built like data centers, but customers are turning remote sites into larger footprints than core data centers. In some of my customers already have more deployments at edge sites from a total socket count, from a total number of VMs running, from a total value to the business at remote sites than they do at the core.
I'm seeing a lot of that too. Yeah, absolutely. And it goes back to the data gravity piece you were talking about earlier. So, and you'll hear,
that's the whole point. IoT is compute at the edge. It's getting the value out of the data that exists where it's being collected.
Right.
Because it doesn't make sense. It takes too long and it costs too much to send it somewhere else.
Yeah.
So you have to have flexibility. But then, I mean, think about it. You pulled away from the core. You're deploying everything at the edge. The old way of doing this makes that very expensive. Worth it right now, I think. But customers are looking for a way to do highly available, highly resilient, highly performant, and easy to manage tasks in a I have thousands of sites sort of numbers game, right?
Sure.
So total game changer.
And I'll take that a step further. Some of the largest problems my customers are solving and largest spend from a dollar amount happen outside of core infrastructure whenever they're preparing remote sites for basic things like connectivity and Wi-Fi. But they have a whole bunch of them that they have to do things at. And so they're preparing for the eventuality that they're going to need to be processing data there and then traversing that data somewhere else, either to a public cloud or a core data center somewhere. And I'm telling you, those opportunities are far larger than whenever my customer comes to me and they want to buy a pure storage array or a vSAN cluster, or, I mean, I'm telling you, like double, triple the size for a bunch of things that you maybe don't even think about, or we don't maybe think about, but that are huge expenditures for customers.
And I'm running into those so often now. I mean, that's obviously, it wasn't the focus of VMworld this year because of timing, but VeloCloud, that acquisition, so SD-WAN was, I really didn't have a great appreciation for SD-WAN until we made that acquisition, just because of the course of my career and things I've get focused on. But because I'm having these remote office conversations, it is no surprise whatsoever how quickly VeloCloud exploded within our own ecosystem. It was doing pretty all by itself, right? But it is immediately relevant and immediately provides value. Like, so going down the SD-WAN path for a remote site, I had a customer that had to delay a stand-up project at a remote site. It's actually overseas for them. So not a significant investment or an insignificant investment from a time and people perspective. They delayed it over 6 weeks because of how long it took to get an MPLS circuit in place.
Yeah.
They couldn't even start.
100%.
They couldn't start. So think about that. Just when you're talking time to value, think about not being able to start operations for a month and a half because of something that we can now address by walking into a store and picking up redundant 4G cards and throwing into a single router-like box
it's
in
huge.
your data center. And that's it. Even if that's not the only way that you're going to address this, that is a game changer in being able to get stuff done quickly.
Yep. And one more point I think we can maybe close this on that I saw was a big theme there, and that was consistent operations. And the idea from that was vSAN and virtual volumes and the extension to VMware Cloud on AWS and policy-based management across all the things.
Yeah.
vVols was big. You could see the uptick of vVols was just like this.
Yeah.
It was just crazy how many people were talking about it.
Yeah. And to that point, I actually had a chat with the vSAN marketing team because I was like, why in the world did y'all retweet a thing? And this is just my small mind just reacting negatively.
We know about your small mind.
Yeah. I was like, why did y'all retweet Cody talking about Pure Storage vVols? And because I see vSAN, right? They're part of the Sabu.
Because he's great.
Yeah. No, it's
because he's great.
Him. No, it's nothing against him, but
I know.
vSAN is a storage thing and storage thing. And I was talking to Lee. Yeah, I was talking to Lee about it, and they're like, well, back your brain up here for a second, Aaron, and realize the power of SPBM. Okay, and that's what it's about. And this is an advantage for Sabu itself. And I sometimes forget too that Sabu is about vVols as well.
Correct.
I'm just so
falls into my bucket.
Yeah. So
and vVols is at a point right now, in my opinion, even though it's been around a little longer, but the path that's going on is the explosion that like 2 years ago, vSAN, when vSAN hit 6.2.
And people were like, oh, this is a real product.
Yeah,
now.
it was next level. That is what VASA 3.0 for vVols did for me. That's where they are at that moment. It's huge.
And that's why, I reeled for a second there too. I'm like, wait, why is this happening? But it makes perfect sense, right? vVols is part of the ecosystem. It's part of you can do both of these things together if you're talking about vSAN. So it's not a threat. It's just something that's good for our customers.
Yeah.
And what's really cool about what Pure and Cody are doing, and we've got other vendors that are doing this really well too, is that they are finally leaning into using VASA 3.0 to provide all of the table stakes features that they're genuinely awesome products in some cases are bringing to the table. So vVols is hugely relevant again. Finally.
I straight up, I'm going to add that to my presentation deck. Like when I present to customers, I talk about why HCI, why vSAN, and then get to why VxRail from that perspective. But exactly what you just said, Russ. The consistency across the thing with SPBM.
It's big.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yep. So we talk about edge to core to cloud now. It's they should all look and feel the same.
Yeah.
All the same.
Huge. Okay. Awesome. Let's wrap it up with, I need some advice from you guys because I am looking at I'm thinking about selling my Xbox. I may not sell it, but.
No. Okay. So far, you're not going to do that. So what's the next thing?
Okay. The next thing is the acquisition of a Nintendo Switch. So my oldest, my 9-year-old is getting video games. Really cool time. And it seems to be, I grew up on the NES, right? And it seems to be something that appeals more to her and it'll be easier for her to learn rather than right now she's 9 and she's jumping on the Xbox and dealing with like software updates. She's learning a lot about technology because every time she flips on the Xbox, she's like, Mom, I have to download 2.3 gigs of software updates.
First of all, you should leave your auto update mechanism on for your Xbox so she doesn't have to deal with that. But next step.
Yeah. So thanks for the advice. But it allows us to talk about, what is software, what is hardware, what are updates, et cetera. So my question is, I'm looking at Nintendo Switch on Amazon, $299. Is there a better way of acquiring this? Are there other things I should be looking at? Okay. If I'm not a fan of used electronics, if I want to buy new, is there a better deal than $299 on Amazon?
Off Amazon.
Okay, cool. I'll do that.
Or Black Friday.
I always buy my electronics.
And then do you have any?
Heck, I got my Xbox from Russ.
That's right. And I still have 2 more over here.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm adding to cart. To cart.
That's what's up. I also highly recommend it's like $70 or $80, the Super Nintendo Classic. But if you get it, get the extensions for like $10 for like the cable extensions.
Yeah.
The my nephew and niece, the niece, which is actually about the same age as your oldest daughter, played that at Christmas and loved it, and it was great. It's all the old school games. I wouldn't say they're easy. They're easier to play. There you go, Tyler.
You got it.
That's the NES Classic.
That is tiny.
That thing is worth more than his Xbox.
That's hilarious.
It's a Raspberry Pi,
Oh,
and I
that's
just
so
loaded
sweet.
it up with emulators using widely available open source rigs. But you can I have
official one.
controllers, NES-like controllers. I could also get extensions.
All right.
I
Cool.
vote for build it yourself in that case.
That's awesome. I'm not going to build the
Can your
the
kids
Switch on my
maintain
own.
that? No.
Heck yeah, they
Get the
can.
official one.
I'm getting it. And you know what,
My
too?
2-year-old can do that. Yeah.
So 2 things about that as well. I'm going to take it to the hospital. I'm going to be in the hospital all next week. So we may or may not be able to do this next Friday. If you guys want to go ahead and do it on your own, to keep it up, then great. Or maybe I'll just join it. It'll be awesome because I'll be on a ton of drugs.
There you go.
It'll be nice to have the Switch in there too.
Russ and I will go do it at a bar. We'll have a couple, drinks. We'll get buttered up a little bit, and then you can be on your hospital drugs.
Or you guys can just come and I'll get you some of the hospital drugs.
Oh,
I like how you just say that. Hush, hush. This is recorded and on video.
no thanks.
I was listening to a comedian talk about that. They're like, who in their right mind? Like, I appreciate people that choose to work in hospitals, but who in their right mind does that? Like, why would you go and work where sick people congregate? And then he just put forth the idea. He's like, obviously they're taking the drugs. Like, they're just they're there for the drugs. No, it's a joke. All right. That does it, fellas. Any departing thoughts before we sign off for SEV Ops for the week?
Nothing for me. I'm sad I missed VMworld. I'll be there next year.
We're sad you missed it too, Russ.
It's all right, man. You were represented. People.
I'm going to attend the things when I'm there too, so it'll be doubly awesome. So
very
That's
cool.
why they don't send you, Russ. It's not for you. It's for your customers.
Oh well, my customers will be with me, right, Jimmy?
Are you gonna be distracting them from learning?
Probably.
Where's this going? All right. Y'all doing anything cool this weekend? College football is.
I don't know. I mean, college football started on Thursday. College football for me starts tomorrow at 11 a.m. Road to the championship is.
That's right.
I think we might go to the lake on Sunday. I'm not real sure. It depends on how my lovely wife feels in her current state.
How's she doing?
She's doing good. Just tired all the time.
Yeah.
Like 100% of the time. Just very, very tired.
You taking care of her? You rubbing her feet?
I'm doing what I can. It's mostly rubbing the back that is been needed at the moment. So
did you get any?
Doing whatever she tells me to do.
Okay.
Yeah, take care of her, man.
Awesome. What about you, Tyler? What you got this weekend?
No, just chilling with the family, man.
Good.
My parents are going down to visit my brother and his wonderful daughters down in Austin. But we're going to stick up here in Dallas area and just do some fun stuff. Might go to the lake as well.
Very cool.
There you go.
Going to take advantage of this weekend. What'd you say, Ross?
I say you coming with us?
Sure. Shoot.
There you go.
Where are you going,
also, Jack Ryan.
Little Elm or what?
So I don't forget, Jack Ryan, the series on Amazon is starting, and I'm very excited about that.
Season 3? Is that what it was?
Season 1, dude.
Oh, season 1? Oh, okay. For some reason I thought I saw it was like season 3.
I don't know if you've ever seen the movies or read the books.
No,
but
I haven't.
Some of them a long time ago.
Well, I'm telling you, it's worth it. On Amazon Prime.
It looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right. Adios, fellas. I appreciate you.
Fellas.
Have a great weekend.
Later. Yep.
Cheers.
Stay safe.
Thanks for watching, everybody. See you
Later.
next time. SEV Ops out.